A big, huge camera array with a telephoto camera that uses what's usually a flagship primary sensor, an uncharacteristic design, plenty of power, an above average battery, weirdly regressive charging. This is the Realme GT5 Pro, Realme's first Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 smartphone, their new flagship. So what's special this time? Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and let's find out. Pick up the GT5 Pro and it feels very familiar, very different, all at once. Let me explain. In hand, the GT5 Pro doesn't really feel like any Realme phone I've ever used. In fact, it feels closer to something like the Oppo Find X6 Pro or the Vivo X100 Pro. You can see the similarities, can't you? The large centered camera array to the back, the curved display up front, the metal sides with the front and back curving into it, that eco-leather back. If you like these kind of phones, you're gonna love the GT5 Pro. Now, just like the phones I mentioned, the GT5 Pro also has a certain heft to it. It feels solid, maybe a little top heavy. The weight here is around 220 grams for the eco-leather variant. Glass is roughly 5 grams heavier. It's also quite thick at 9.23 millimeters, but you aren't gonna notice it due to the curves with the display in the back. Now there's a lot of work that's gone into this back. Let's take a closer look at the camera array. We have a ring that's color matched to your colorway of choice. Then on top of it sits a stainless steel ring with 300 plus gear patterns on it, which are matched inside the camera array too. The look here, it's not too different from what you'd see on a high-end watch. Then we have the non-centered Realme logo. What do you think of this? Hate it? Like it? Don't care? Personally, I see it as Realme signing the camera. I think it is unique and I like it. To anyone who has a problem with it, I have 2 words for you. X7 Pro. I rest my case. The camera array being large and centered means there's no wobbling when you put the GT5 Pro down on a table and use it. When you're using it in hand, that eco-leather back, it's very grippy. You shouldn't have any issues using this phone without a case. Now walking you through the placements, the left is clean save for the antenna bands. Up top, we have the secondary speaker and microphone with an IR blaster in between. The power and volume keys are present to the right. And finally, to the bottom, here's where we find the SIM tray, the primary speaker and mic alongside a USB Type-C port. This is USB 3.1 Type-C, so good stuff. Now the top and bottom are both flat to the point where the phone can stand by itself. Now the version I have, Realme calls it Red Rock, and yeah, it kind of resembles a brick, doesn't it? Then you have Bright Moon. This one also comes with the eco-leather back. And there's the black version with the glass back named Starry Night. It's worth noting that all colors share the same IP64 rating for dust and splash resistance. Let's now move on to the display. What we find on the GT5 Pro is a 6.78-inch 10-bit OLED panel from BOE. This is a 1.5K panel with 144Hz refresh. I like how the bezels are very slim, almost symmetric, the bottom's slightly thicker. Now the advertised brightness peak for HDR is an insane 4500 nits. Of course, as always, I went on and tested it for regular usage, which is what I feel most people need to know. Now under manual mode, the display hits a very respectable 650 nits. Realme also provides an extra brightness toggle. With that on, the display goes up to 1050 nits manually, which is excellent. And then with the auto mode turned on, this panel can almost hit a whopping 1700 nits, which is eye-searingly bright. So outdoor use, it's a non-issue here. Now in my time so far with the GT5 Pro, I've not faced any issues with accidental touches, which is pretty important for a phone with a curved display this size. Now, there is a slight discoloration when you don't look at the panel head on, and of course reflections are gonna be an issue as with any curved panel. But the media experience, I'd still say it was very good. It's improved even more given Realme's provided Dolby Atmos support for headphones, and the stereo speakers themselves also sound nice and loud. And now we get to performance. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, this is Realme's first phone with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the current flagship Qualcomm SoC. And we've already seen how the 8 Gen 3 fares with many phones in the recent past, and it's no different here with the Realme. Realme does advertise having a large vapor chamber and claims to have worked on the cooling extensively, but the GT5 Pro alternated between posting mid 50% stability scores and overheating, shutting down the stress test app. The phone does get warm when gaming, but the games themselves seem to run well enough and it didn't get unbearably hot or anything. So the performance seems to be good, but there definitely seems to be room for improvement, especially with stability. Now all this is backed up by a larger than average 5400 mAh battery. With the included 100-watt charger, the GT5 Pro can go from 0 to 100 in under 30 minutes. Now I found this a little weird since the vanilla GT5 was sold with 150 and even 240 watt charging options while the Pro gets restricted to 100 watts. Strange, right? Now if I were to guess, I'd say it's probably due to this claim, 1600 cycles to get to 80% battery health. I'd say that probably wouldn't have been possible with a higher capacity charger. I don't know this for sure, it's just my best guess. Also there's support for 50-watt wireless charging on the Pro, so not complaining. On the software front, this year's Realme UI 5 built atop Android 14. Now the GT5 Pro obviously felt fast and snappy, but there are a couple of things worth noting here. Realme is trying to bring back air gestures and they've actually gone about it the right way. I feel most implementations till date have failed because brands have tried to build it to cater to specific apps. But here, yes, Realme is doing that, but they're also focused on general UI navigation. Let me explain. Say you're cooking and following a recipe. Here you go, you can go ahead, take a screenshot. If you wanted to change the track that's playing, jump out, head on over to YouTube Music, change the track, jump back in and continue following your recipe. Let's say there's a notification you need to check. Sure, you can go ahead read that. Now of course I've had to use editing magic to show you guys this because in real time it is slow, it is inaccurate, but the point I'm trying to make is that for the first time air gestures actually add some kind of value. It's a niche use case, sure, but it's not just a gimmick here. Realme's also added a palm unlock option to be able to unlock your phone without having to touch it. There's also a raise palm to wake screen option, though I've not been able to get that to work consistently yet. Of course, you get your regular optical scanner under the display. I found the placement a little too low, but it was fast and accurate. Face unlock via the selfie camera worked well too. Hey, we got 4K 30. So how does this look? It's pretty noisy out here, so let's see how it picks that up. Stills via this 32 megapixel camera were fine, reasonably detailed and crisp without any weird skin smoothing. Now another interesting option Realme provides is letting you lock games into memory. Games are usually the ones that get killed first because they do take up a lot of memory, so having an option to keep them locked in might just be useful. Talking about which, it's again strange that the RAM tops out at 16 gigs for the GT5 Pro because with the vanilla GT5, Realme did offer a 24 gig option. The storage still goes up to 1 terabyte though. Okay, it's time to talk optics, and the spec sheet, it reads quite nicely. The primary here is a new Sony Litya sensor, the LYT-808. It's the same one that's supposed to be on the upcoming OnePlus 12. Here it's paired with an optically stabilized f1.69 lens. Now obviously this is a good sensor and it shows images are well detailed, the dynamic range is good. Colors though, they felt slightly off, like a little too boosted for my liking. The sky I was seeing, it definitely wasn't this saturated. The colors are a minor nitpick at best, and obviously it's early days. For what it's worth, Realme has been pushing out updates. Okay, moving on, there are some other cool features here. For example, there's an action mode that lets you shoot with zero shutter lag to freeze time. There's also an option to set a cropped in default for the primary sensor. There's a street photography mode where the zoom levels are shown as focal length equivalents instead. Pretty good. For video, we can shoot 8K 24fps here, and unlike on something like say the iQOO 12, the 8K footage is actually stabilized without major AIS jitter. 4K 60 was very good too, stable, well detailed without drastic exposure changes. Barring this, the GT5 Pro also lets you shoot 4K Dolby Vision HDR video. Next, we have an 8 megapixel ultra wide that's nothing to write home about, gets the job done, colors aren't very evenly matched though. And then we get to the third sensor. Now this is the start of the show. Remember the primary from the Realme GT5, the Sony IMX890? That's the sensor Realme's gone for the 3x telephoto. And man does it do well. Even at 6x, 10x, the results are quite usable. Shooting portraits with it was fun, and of course you can shoot portraits with the primary too. So barring some minor saturation issues, the optics here, they seem to be a win. Now before we talk price, let me walk you through the actual unboxing experience. So the box here looks quite unique. I like the copper stripe at the center. I feel it looks elegant. Once we open the box up, we are greeted by this black insert, which houses a SIM ejector tool, the quick start guide, and the new gray case. And here's the Realme GT5 Pro. You really do notice the heft right from the first moment you pick it up. Now this is probably my favorite color amongst the three on offer. Anyways, we then have a USB Type-A to Type-C cable followed by the 100-watt supercharged charger. Now this Realme GT5 Pro, it starts at 3300 yuan in China, which converts to about 39,000 Indian rupees or 460 US dollars. And for that price, Realme seems to have put together one hell of a smartphone. What do you guys think about this phone? What do you think about this price? Leave a comment. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.